Good afternoon, everyone. It's Karri Bedor with Goldenlink, and today we're going to be talking about your audience, but more specifically, your audience that is waiting for you. So let's jump in and talk about who you should be talking to, because the reality is if you're not talking to your audience, your competition is. And that's a hard thing to think about, especially when you are promoting and marketing your business. You want to make sure that you're reaching your audience, but you're also saying the right things to your audience. And knowing how to do that really comes down to three simple things. How can you be personal? How can you be timely? And how can you be relevant to your audience? So let's dive in and talk a little bit more about what this means. When you're going to be personal, timely, and relevant to your audience, it's all about creating messaging to your audience that's crafting communication that resonates deeply with those individuals, and it's going to reach them at super impactful moments, and it's going to address their specific needs or their interests. So how are you going to be the solution to your audience? So let's start first with personal. So if you have personal communication, this is really something that's going to be tailored. This is going to involve customizing your content to speak directly to your individual or the segment of audience that you're looking to target. This could mean using their name, referencing some past interactions, or acknowledging their preferences or specific behaviors. You really want to come in with that personal side of things and create that emotional connection. So personal messaging is often going to connect on an emotional level, and it's going to make the audience feel as if they're understood, that they're valued, and they're more likely to engage with your brand. So when you are sitting down to create some content or you're creating an email message that's going to go out, ask yourself, how can I make this more personal? Do you have the ability within your email system to put the email or the first name of the person that you're targeting in there? Can you try to address a certain segment of audience or speak directly to them? The more that you can do that, the more you're going to capture the attention of the audience that you're looking to target. Next is going to be timely. So it's really all about that right moment. Timeliness means delivering your message when it's most relevant at the audience's current situation or their mindset. This could be during a specific time of year, maybe a certain stage in a customer journey, or maybe it's a recent action that they've taken. So you can determine all of these things through different ways that you are doing your marketing. So when we think about timeliness, we think about, hey, what is my customer journey? And you know what? If you've not journey mapped how your customers interact with you from the very early stages to what it's like to maybe do repeat or referral business, that's something that you definitely want to do. And you want to make sure that you're crafting those messages so it can become very, very relevant to the audience that you're targeting. So when you are thinking about timeliness in the right moment at the right time, you're creating something called immediate relevancy. And a timely message is going to address what's happening in the moment. It's going to make it more likely that you're going to capture their attention and you're going to prompt a response. Because after all, that's what you're looking for. You're looking to get some type of action from your audience that you're coming in and targeting. And doing this is actually going to help you optimize your marketing budget. And then the third piece with this is relevant. So how are you creating an alignment with what your audience is looking for? So relevancy is going to ensure that your message is going to align with the audience's current needs, what their interests are, or what their pain points are. So you've got to determine those three things. What is their needs? What is their interest? Or what are those pain points? And then doing that, you want to make sure that you're delivering that content that is meaningful and valuable to them at that particular time. So this is a lot about problem solving. So relevant messaging is going to directly address those problems or the desires of your audience, and it's going to position you and your brand as the solution and create value in their life. So you can really think about all of these in terms of how you're delivering this and how your audience is going to be digesting the content that you're putting out there. So if you remember those three little words when you're coming in and you're starting to create some content, you want to ask yourself, is this personal, timely, and relevant to my audience? Because your audience is waiting for you. Your audience wants to hear from you. They want you to be the solution to their problems. And ensuring by doing this, by creating that personal, timely, and relevant messaging is going to ensure that your communication is going to resonate with them on a deep level. It's going to capture their attention, and it's going to help drive meaningful engagement. So we want to make sure that we're doing those things. So if you've ever put some content out there and maybe not gotten the interaction or have not captured, some type of action that you were looking for, really come back and ask yourself, hey, how could I have redone this to make it be more personal, timely, and relevant to the audience that I'm actually targeting? So let's dive into this a little bit deeper, and let's look at number one, and it's how do you understand your audience? So you first want to dive into who are they? What is their demographics? What are their interests? What are their pain points? Some ways that you can really take a good look at this is if you go to your Facebook page and look at your insights. Your insights is going to give you a little bit of a dive into your audience that's following you on your social media platforms. Social media does a great job at doing this. So not only will they give you demographics, like what's the split between male to female, percentage wise, but it'll also give you some geographical locations, which will help in terms of where are they, but it'll also show you some of their interests as well. I recently was looking at a client, and we found out that two of their top interests with their audience that they currently had was Walmart and Target. So we knew that these people were shoppers and they liked something about Walmart and Target. Well, this gave us some insight in terms of how we could come back, craft some messaging that was going to speak directly to that audience. Next that we want to look at is where are they? What platforms are they on? What channels are they on? Where are they physically located? Because the more that we know about our audience, the more that we can be crafting messaging that's going to resonate and is going to be relevant to that audience that we're targeting to. And third is what do they want? What are their needs? What are their desires? What are their challenges? So if you really get a good understanding of who your audience is, then we really need to figure out, hey, what do they want? Like, what do they actually need in their life? Maybe what are some of those funny moment things that you can bring in? And then, what are their challenges and how are you the solution for those challenges? And once you start crafting your messaging that way, you'll start seeing a different engagement level with your audience, which is really what you want. And number two is why timing matters. So reaching them at the right time is going to be huge. So we always want to look at what is the peak engagement times and what are some industry specific things that we're looking for in terms of timing. So for those of you that are real estate agents, we may know right now that people are really into getting their kids off to school. So we might be looking at doing messaging things along the lines of, hey, how do we know that you're busy getting your kids off to school, but this might be a great time, at the end of the summer to really start purging things in your house and maybe get your home ready to sell this fall. So you can really, really start crafting that things are happening in an industry, or maybe things that are happening in terms of a timeline, and really dive into that a little bit more. So you'll see that a lot with like back to school ads, and you'll see other industries that will kind of lean on that and look at their messaging. So as you're like watching TV or listening to the radio or wherever you're seeing advertisement, start seeing some of those timely things that are happening and ask yourself, how can I incorporate that into my messaging and making sure that I'm talking to my audience on, in that relevant way. The next thing we're going to look at is building anticipation. So how do we create the hooks? Is there a teaser? Is there a countdown? Is there a sneak peek that we can be doing with that hook to that audience? And then from there, we want to really think about what's our engagement strategy. Is it interactive content? Like maybe you're asking for them to vote on something with a poll, or maybe you're asking them, do you like A or B better? Or you're just literally asking them a question, or are you giving them early access to something? Is it like that sneak peek that's coming in, register to get a download for this? Any type of those engagement strategies is going to be really, really huge when you're building that anticipation. And when you're speaking directly to your audience, that's going to help you identify what those look like and how you can pull that in to your messaging strategy with your clients and your content that you're putting out there. Next up is delivering value. And this is a really, really big one, because this is where we want to make sure that we really know our audience. We want to know what their desires are, what their needs are, and what their problems are. And then we need to ask ourselves, what's in it for them? So we don't want to go out there necessarily tooting our own horn. We don't want to say, hey, I'm the best at this, or I'm the best at that. We really want to get into what it is in it for them. We want to be talking about benefits, and we want to be talking about what unique selling propositions are. So you want to spend some time thinking about those for your business. What are things that I provide that's a benefit for my audience? What are things that I do that are unique that I can make sure that my audience knows about, so I can stand out in their head when it comes time for them to want your product or your service that you're doing? Next up is that call to action. So what type of action do you want them to take? Make sure that it's clear, make sure it's compelling, and make sure that there's urgency there. You want to have that hook on there, like sign up now for and get put into a drawing for this, or limited time offers. We see that all the time, and we want that to be kind of action driven. We want them to create some type of urgency so they will come back and they will do the things that you want them to do. So just understand that that understanding your audience is crucial for several reasons. And we really want to know and understand what it is that your audience is looking for. So the first thing is really going to be your targeted messaging. So we don't want to go and start pushing marketing out that is just not going to work for us. So if we sit down and we've all done it, everyone's guilty of this. But if you really think about your targeted messaging and you know your audience, this is going to allow you to craft a message that's going to resonate with them. So when you do come and you understand their needs and desires and pain points, you're going to create that content that's going to speak directly at them, which is going to increase their likelihood of engagement. So if you're going out and you're spending money on putting ads out there, really think about that targeting messaging and making sure that you're speaking directly to that audience. Number two is improved engagement. So when your audience feels as if they're understood, they're more likely to engage with your content. So whether it's through likes, shares, comments, or purchases, an audience that's going to feel connected to your brand is going to be more active, and they're going to be more loyal, which is exactly what you want to build. You want to build that loyalty, and you want to build your brand up in the minds of the audience that you are targeting. Number three is going to be efficient resource allocation. So by understanding your audience, it's going to allow you to focus your marketing efforts on the channels and strategies that are effective for reaching them. This is going to lead to better return on investment of your marketing dollars. It's going to help you not waste resources on tactics that just don't even resonate with your target audience. So by really understanding your audience and helping you focus and align your resources, it's going to help you not throw money away as you are spending money on advertising, and help you really get what your goals are with that. Number four is going to be about building trust and credibility. So when you're consistently delivering content that's going to meet the needs and expectations of your audience, you are definitely building trust and credibility within that audience. And an audience that trusts your brand is more likely to become a loyal customer and an advocate for your brand. That's when people are returning back and doing business with you again. And that's when people are referring others to build business with you. So there is a huge strategy and a reason why knowing your audience is so important. Number 5 is going to be better product development. So your audience insights can inform you on product or service developments that you might need to think twice about. So understanding what your audience wants and needs are can help you create offerings that are more likely to be successful in the market that in the target market that you are targeting for. So this will help you, really understand, hey, if there's a pain point here, even if I'm in the service industry, how can I put a service package together that's going to feel as if my audience is heard, I understand their needs and their pain points, but I'm also wanting them to take action on that. And that's the biggest thing we want, is we want some type of action-driven content that's going to come through. And then number 6 is really going to help you enhance your customer experience. So the customer experience and that customer journey is so important. So when you know your audience and you can tailor that customer journey to be more personalized and more relevant, this is going to lead to a better overall experience with you and your brand. It's going to help you foster a long-term relationship with your customers, which is exactly what you want to do. You want to have that long-term benefit with there, so you again can get that repeat and referral business. So by knowing and understanding all these things, really what you can do is you're creating a mini team of influencers that can go out and drive more people to your brand. And as people are interacting with your brand more and your messaging becomes more on target, it's going to help you build your following and honestly build your sales. And that's what everybody is really looking for, is really building those sales up from that. So let's take a look. I've got 3 examples of brands that are just doing it right. These brands are connected to their audiences. They know who, and they have a strategy that's built around that. So first up is Nike. So Nike knows that their audience is going to be athletes and fitness enthusiasts, from professionals to everyday people. And their strategy is understanding that our audience is motivated by a desire to push their limits and achieve greatness, which brings up one of the greatest slogans ever, and that's just do it, right? So that campaign speaks directly to the mindset of their audience. It's inspiring people to take action regardless of their athletic level. Nike also uses social media and personalized apps to engage with their audience on a more individual level, offering training tips, challenges, and customer support, or community support. So Nike does a really good job of, knowing that their audience is fitness and athletic enthusiasts, but they're making sure that their brand is fitting all of these different boxes when they're coming in and they're developing their strategy. So these are things that you can think about, that you are, maybe you're doing this in your strategy already, or maybe you're not, and you can come in and, start reaffirming that. Next up is Spotify. So Spotify knows that their audience is music lovers and podcast listeners who appreciate personalized content. Now, I, for one, am a huge Spotify listener, and I didn't start off that way. I actually really liked Pandora when I started streaming music. But what I love about Spotify is that personalized content. So they excel at using data to understand individual user preferences, and they create a highly personalized experience through their features on their app, like Discover Weekly and Daily Mixes. So now you might be thinking to yourself, hey, maybe I'm just a real estate agent, so how am I going to deliver something like Spotify does? And what this really, thinks about is how you can take this and make it relevant to what your business and your industry is. So maybe it's not the personalized music, but it's the houses that they're looking for. And what you're able to do is, what Spotify is able to do is, by constantly refining their algorithms, they're really looking at how they can better serve their users' tastes, and Spotify keeps their audience engaged and loyal. So they do a really good job with that. But again, with Spotify, it's about really understanding who their audience is, and they're using and leveraging technology and data to make sure that they're delivering that to their audience. So that's something that you guys can take with you and figure out, hey, how can I incorporate that into my business? And then finally, the last one that we're going to talk about today is Patagonia. So they are really focused on environmentally conscious consumers and outdoor enthusiasts. Now, one thing that's really interesting about Patagonia is that their headquartered office is right off the beach, and their people that work there come in, really casual wear because that is the brand of their brand. So the people that work there really embody who their brand is. But their commitment is really about sustainability and environmental activism, and it resonates deeply within their audience. So their marketing efforts is just like it is don't just buy this jacket. It's going to show them their audience that they have values, that they're all about responsible consumption and reinforcing the brand's authenticity and ethical stance. So they want to make sure that if you're buying a jacket, you're going to be able to wear this jacket for years. You're not going to have to go and buy another one and buy another one and buy another one. So they focus on quality components of their property and making sure that they're putting that out there. And this is really interesting to think about in terms of maybe the way that you are, taking a stance, or, if there's some type of cause that you're looking for. This is really kind of a cause marketing, and they know that their customers are really into making sure that they're outdoor activists, but that they're environmentally friendly, and they're making sure that they're talking about that consistently in their messaging that goes out there. So we can learn a lot from brands that are doing it well. Take those little nuggets from those brands and bring them into your own personal brands that you have out there. So just remember that your audience is ready and waiting for you. So are you ready to go in and start engagement with that? So that is what I have for you today. I hope you guys were able to take away some little golden nuggets in terms of who your audience is and why it's important that you are talking to your audience in a personal, timely, and relevant manner on a consistent basis. So take some time, maybe go back and look at some messaging that you have put out and ask yourself, how could I have done this better? How could I have made this more personal, more timely, and more relevant to my audience? Take a little bit of time and do some research on who your audience is. Don't just make assumptions. Go out there and actually look at the data and then start diving in. What are the pain points of that audience? What are their needs? What are their desires? And then how are you the solution? And start crafting your messaging around that. Because remember, if you are not talking to your audience, your competitors are going to, and they're going to choose them over you. So go out there and do some homework and use this as really great components as how you can be targeting your audience to get more of the content that you're looking for. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we will talk with you soon.